Hey, welcome to Tentaroo demo number 4. Today we're going to talk about how to make a campsite or cabin reservation at Camp Mac or Camp Bayshore straight from your computer in the comfort of your own home. So the first thing you're going to do is go to tentaroo.com/PADutch to get to the login page for Tentaroo. When you get there, you're going to log in using your unit account. Remember, if you need help setting up your unit account or don't know your password or any of those things, give us a call at the Council Service Center. We can help you out with that. There are also other videos available by going to padutchbsa.org under Resources, Tentaroo Online Registration. That page has information about Tentaroo and includes 3 other demo videos, to which this one will be added, about how to use Tentaroo. So the first one is how to create an account or log in. The second one is how to update your roster. And the third video is how to register for a simple event. So back to Tentaroo. We're going to go ahead and log in. I am logging in with a test unit for this demonstration. So now that we're logged in, I am on my my unit's homepage. Once I log into Tentaroo, I'm going to be looking to reserve a facility. So here on the left is a complete list of all the events and the facility options that are currently in Tentaroo. So there's a lot of stuff in here. But for facilities, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to select a facility, either Bayshore Scout Reservation, the Camp Mac Training Center, or J. Edward Mack Scout Reservation. I'm going to choose Camp Mac at this point. Okay. I click on Camp Mac. It's going to take me to this page where I can do 2 things. First, I can add a trip, which we'll come to in a little bit, or I can find out what facilities are available so you can see about what's able to be rented at Camp Mac. One of the things you can do from here is right above the Find Available Facilities button is one where you can look at the different types of facilities that are available at Camp Mac. So if you're looking for a cabin, if you're looking for a primitive site at Camp Mac, they're the backcountry sites without water or electricity, or you're looking for a tent site, you can pick those. I'm going to pick cabins right now and click Find Available Facilities. So when I click Find Available Facilities, it's going to pull up this screen. On here, I can see the 4 cabins that are available at Camp Mac. I've got my date up top, my date range right now. It'll show from the current day 2 weeks into the future. So just for another, I'm going to change my date to September 1 and hit refresh. Okay. So I can see my 4 cabins. And you're going to see a couple different symbols on the calendar. If there's a green circle with a check mark in it, that means the facility is available to be rented that day. If you see a green circle with a check mark and a black line, if I hover over that, it says that facility that day is available for checkout but not check-in. That means a trip could end that day, but you can't start a trip on that day at that facility. And then the other symbol you will see, there are 2. One, if you see a completely grayed out box, that means the facility is not available and the date has been reserved for camp. As an example, well, this one, looking at that, that's Labor Day weekend. We don't have the camp available to give the ranger a much-needed break. The other reason you may see that is there's a district event going on or a training or something else that's using that facility, so it's not available to be rented. The final symbol you'll see is an X, and that tells you that the facility is not available. There's a scheduling, there's a conflicting reservation. Somebody else has already gone in and made a reservation for that facility. So looking on here, you can change the dates. You can see as far into the future as you would like what's available. You could go back and forth if you want to change between the Mac cabins and tent sites. So let's take a look at the tent sites. Here are all the different tent sites available at Mac. Again, those same symbols. If you want to change to look to Bayshore, you're going to have to close and go to Bayshore and then go into Find Facilities again, and it'll bring up that same information. You can see the Bayshore Adirondack sites, cabins, primitive sites, or tent sites, and their availability. Close. I'm going to go back to Camp Mac. Now we're going to go through the process of actually creating a reservation, so you can see that. Before we get into that, however, there are a couple important things that you're going to need to know to make your reservations. First of all, Tentaroo is set up that you must reserve an entire weekend at a time. Even if your group is only planning on coming Friday night through Saturday, you must reserve the entire weekend. Second one, you can make reservations have to be made at least 1 week ahead of when you want to come. So you can't sit at home Thursday night and make a reservation for the next day, Friday. Reservations have to be made at least 1 week ahead. You can make reservations up to 6 months in advance. So you can look ahead and make a reservation 6 months out from the current date. And finally, you can cancel your reservation in Tentaroo up to 2 weeks ahead of the trip, and you will receive credit through Tentaroo that you can use toward another trip or activity. Okay. So let's go into the process of how to make a reservation on Tentaroo. It's really a two-step process. The first thing that you have to do is create a trip. So here I am. I've clicked Facilities, J. Edward Max Scout Reservation. The first thing I'm going to do is say Add a Trip. I'm going to create a trip. When I click Add Trip, it's going to pull up this box, and I'm going to give my trip a name. For this purposes of this, I'm going to call this one Sample Cabin Weekend 2. I'm going to then set my arrival. I want to come out to Camp Mac the weekend of September 18, and I'm going to leave September 20. I'm going to have, let's say 8 scouts, and I'm going to have 3 adults on the trip. I've got my contact information. I can add an alternative contact information, so I'm going to put that in. I'm going to use Leslie here at the office. And that way, we have extra contact information for your trip if there are questions or concerns, and those individuals will get a copy of receipts and trip updates through Tentaroo. There's also a place here where you can include notes, so if there's things that you want to include in there, feel free to. For this, I'm just going to say test, 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 because we're just running a test trip at the moment. So once I've got all the information put in that I want, I'm going to click Add Trip. So that takes me to this screen. My trip has been added now. If I scroll down again on the left under Camp Mac, I've got my trip in there, Sample Weekend 2 with the date. I've got the information here on the screen. If I want to delete it, I can click the delete, and I have to hit save. I'm not going to do that right now, so I'm going to uncheck that. So now that I've got my trip created, the next thing I'm going to do is the second part of the process is go to Add or View Reservations. So click Add or View Reservations. It is going to show, come to a screen, your reservation screen up top, and it's going to show all the reservations I've made tied to that trip. Right now I don't have any, so the screen is blank. So I'm going to click Add Reservation. And again, it's going to take me back to this screen where I can see availability. So as I look at availability for a cabin, starting on the trip date that I wanted, which was 9/18, right now I can see that Blair Lodge is available, Dellinger Lodge is available, and Espenshade Lodge is available. Swar is already taken by somebody else. Okay. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to click Espenshade Lodge. We want Espenshade Lodge, so I'll click on Espenshade, and that's going to bring me to this screen where I get a little bit of information about Espenshade. I get the name, it's Espenshade Lodge, it's a cabin at Mac, and it can hold up to 24 people. Gives me a little bit of information. Espenshade Lodge is the last cabin past the dining pavilion on North Camp Road. I can put in my number of participants. Right now, because my trip had 8 youth and 3, it automatically populates that. and I can see what some of the features are of Espen Shade. It's got benches, it's got bulletin board, it's got cots with mattresses, and on and on. Okay. Finally, I can see what my pricing is. The daily flat rate to reserve Espen Shade is $87.50 per day. And remember, for a weekend, you have to reserve both days, and that payment is due up front. Okay. So to save a reservation, the date that I want, I'm going to click the date here on the calendar. Okay. Again, it's going to change the information a little bit to show that you can see that it automatically filled in the full weekend because you have to reserve the entire weekend. And it updated my fees. The full weekend fee is $175 due up front. So once I've got that selected, I'm going to click Save Reservation, which brings me back to my reservation screen. I can see my reservation. I reserved Espen Shade Lodge. It's a mat cabin. I've got 11 youth of the 24 available. It costs $175. I owe $175. My start date is 9/18. My end date is 9/20. And in my shopping cart is $175. There's also a reminder down here at the bottom that my cart currently has one item in it, and any changes will not take effect until you check out. Your reservation is not final until you check out. Now, if I wanted to add another facility, I could go to Add Reservation and keep adding facilities to that trip if I wanted to. We get examples of units that reserve multiple cabins for various reasons. They're big enough that they need multiple cabins, or they want a cabin and a campsite. You can do that by continuing to add reservations just like we did. Now, to finalize my reservation, I have to go to the cart. So I click on cart. I can see my trip payment and update, my sample cabin weekend number 2 trip. The amount due is $175. So the amount is $175. My subtotal, my total. It's got all my billing information from my profile, and I have to pay online using a credit card in order to finalize my payment. If you don't finalize your payment and hit Submit Order down here at the bottom, your reservation is not final, and the dates will not be blacked out. Somebody else could come in and take those dates if you do not finish it. So put in all your credit card payment information, the type, the card code, hit Submit Order, and it will finalize your reservation. Once you've finalized your reservation, you will get 2 different emails from Tentaroo. I'm going to pull those up just as an example. The first one you're going to get is a receipt. It's going to show you, the information about camp. It says it's a receipt, gives you your group information that's tied to your profile, and it'll say you updated your reservation and how much you paid on your receipt. The second receipt or email that you're going to get is a trip notification email, and it's going to give you your trip information, sample cabin weekend. It'll tell you how much was due, if there's any balance due. If you paid, because you have to pay by credit card, your balance should be 0. It'll show that you added, which cabin you added. It'll show you the dates, and it'll show you how many participants. If you do not get a trip notification email or a receipt, your reservation is not final. Give us a call at the Council Service Center, and we will help you out. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back to Tentaroo and show you a couple things, other things that you can do to change your reservation. So I'm going to go back to my home page at the moment, and I'm going to pick the other trip that I already had for this sample unit, which was sample cabin weekend number 1. So on here, what I can do is I can change my attendance. I'm going to have 11. Notice down here it says if there are unsaved changes, please save or cancel. So I'm going to save my trip. Okay. I can add or view those reservations. So here's my reservation that's been made. I want to open that so I can edit it, and I'm going to change my number of kids. Now, I'm looking at Swar Lodge right now, and it has a maximum capacity of 12. What happens if I say I want to bring 10 kids and 5 adults? Out to Swar Lodge, it only holds 12 kids. What's going to happen? If I go to hit Save Reservation, I'm going to get a message that says, The specified number of participants is greater than capacity for this MAC cabin. The maximum is 12. Please reduce the number of participants and try again. Okay, so I'm going to leave it for this to say I'll have 10 youth and 2 adults, and I can save my reservation. Now, because I've made a change, I've got to go back to the cart and I've got to check out again. Okay, get rid of that one. So I'm going to change and submit my order to finalize everything. Okay, so that finalized my update for my trip. Okay, so those are the basics of how to make a facility reservation using Tentaroo. Again, right now it is set you will have to pay upfront using a credit card to make a reservation using Tentaroo. You can see availability online for cabins and campsites. To make a reservation, you have to make a reservation at least 1 week ahead of your trip, and you can make it up to 6 months in advance. Okay? Also remember, you can cancel a trip up to 2 weeks ahead, and you'll receive credit. So again, if you have any questions, please give us a call at the Council Service Center. Further facilities and things will be added in over time, and we hope this helps you out and makes it a little bit simpler for you to make reservations without having to call or come into the Council Service Center. Thank you very much.